Alright, what's going on you guys? Welcome to Real Madrid Hub again. I'm your host Dr. Jota, and in this video I wanted to talk to you all about something that I really consider important because it's about the news that came out yesterday. I mean, in the last moment, it was last night in Spain, claiming that Real Madrid, Florentino Perez told to the rest of the board members that there were not be any kind of sign this summer other than Kylian Mbappe. So Real Madrid is not going to sign any other player because I don't know whether the finances, whether the project, whether Ancelotti, I don't know what is the reason, but apparently Real Madrid is not going to sign any other player. So I would like to talk to you all, I would like to comment, I would like to share this information with you just because I want to know and debate a little bit with you all about that possibility, and respond to some of the implications that these decisions might have. If you think about it, we still have some positions where we are not very strong or strong enough. So that would be, I'm not going to say kind of catastrophic or something like that, but in a certain way is not good for Real Madrid. That is number one. And number two, in my opinion, every time a team, Real Madrid or whoever it is, sees a very good opportunity, just a bargain for signing a player, I think that Real Madrid, even if we don't have the plan to keep signing players and stuff like that, I do believe that Real Madrid, if sees a very good possibility to sign a very good player for a very reasonable price, I want to think that we are going to try to sign him, right? So what are pretty much, let me get started and let me tell you all what are the implications that this decision might have for Real Madrid. Well, number one and most important here is, okay, you don't want to sign any single player other than Kylian Mbappe. Okay, let me tell you what is going to happen with the right back position? What is going to happen with the right side of the field of Real Madrid? You have to keep in mind, we only have two players in that position. Number one is Dani Carvajal. Number two is Álvaro Odriozola. As you know, they are completely different players. Although they can occupy the same spot in the starting 11, their profile is completely different. Whereas, Dani Carvajal is the kind of player who is more talented for playing as a natural right back, right? Because he has more defensive skills than Álvaro Odriozola, whereas Odriozola is a player who, in my opinion, can do a much better job when he plays in an offensive profile, in a offensive formation or something like that. Álvaro Odriozola, in my opinion, is more talented for occupying a position as a red winger or something like that, or even fullback or something like that. Much better than right back, right? So the number one reason it is we have two different players for the same position, right? But let me tell you what, this is not the only problem, because apparently Álvaro Odriozola will not be in the squad the next year. Apparently Carlo Ancelotti is not okay with that, or is not very convinced to give Álvaro Odriozola the opportunity that he allegedly deserves, right? So Álvaro Odriozola might leave the team. So that would be, or that means that we will only have one single player for the right side of the field in Real Madrid, which is of course Dani Carvajal. We also have to Lucas Vázquez, right? But it's not a good thing every time you only have one single player for one position. As you know, in every single team in the world, they normally have at least 2 or 3 players per position, because you have to increase the competition and you have to have players fighting for a spot, because that way they can improve their skills, they can become a better players and things like that, right? So if we only have to Dani Carvajal, that is a very bad thing, but it's not only because of that. Number two, Dani Carvajal, apparently, according to the latest information that I got from Dani Carvajal, apparently the player is not 100% and will have to follow a very specific plan to recover his best version. So I mean, how in the hell are you going to build up a super team if your right side, if the right back and the right wing positions and things like that are not occupied by the best players ever? So in my opinion, Real Madrid should change their mind and say, okay, if we have to a player in the market like Diogo Dalot, who plays for Milan and belongs to Manchester United, we should go ahead and try to sign him. I mean, for example, if you say what is going to happen with Manuel Locatelli or the midfield of Real Madrid, I'm okay with that. I mean, if we refuse to sign another midfielder, I'm okay with that, because we have midfielders enough. We have to Martin Odegaard, we have to Fede Valverde, we have to Luka Modric, Toni Kroos, Isco Alarcón, so we have plenty of midfielders. But when it comes to the right side, man, we are very short in that position. We don't have players enough, and the players that we already have are not the most talented, or even they don't fit the expectations for this allegedly vertical Real Madrid, for this more offensive Real Madrid, right? Because in my opinion, we should have, if we wanted to be more vertical and more offensive and more straight up, we need different players. And of course, a player, for example, like Achraf Hakimi, that would have been great for Real Madrid. He would have met completely the expectations of this Real Madrid. He would fit the expectations of this Real Madrid much better than any other player, right? But now he's in PSG. So what are we supposed to do now? So we have to we have to sign another player. I mean, it is pretty obvious that it is not enough with only one player for one position, right? So that is the number one implication. That is the number one. And then number two, what will happen if we are unable to sign Kylian Mbappe? Are we going to have to wait another season without signings? I mean, man, the life in soccer, the happiness in soccer for all the fans across the world, the 50-60% is the signings, right? New players, new project, So if you refuse to sign players, you are not bringing in all the happiness that makes so happy to the fans across the world. So if you refuse to sign players, where is the happiness is going to be? Nowhere. I mean, there's no spot. I mean, there's no place for me to believe that we are going to happy again with Real Madrid if we don't have any sign, if we don't have any new players or something like that. I mean, that is not the most right way for us. You know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, this is going to be, or this decision will have a lot of implications, and all of them, in my opinion, are very negative and are not very good. So in my humble opinion, Real Madrid has to change their mind and say, okay, we will have to try to sign more players, because it's not enough to bring in Kylian Mbappe. It's okay, I mean, it's perfect. Kylian Mbappe, it's great. But what is going to happen if we are unable to sign Kylian Mbappe or even Erling Haaland? Real Madrid fans, we need happiness, we need illusion, we need, we need to be excited by something, by the new project, by the new squad. We can't just sit down here and say, okay, let's see what happens with the same players over and over and over again. You know what I'm saying? And Kylian Mbappe is not enough, and we know that. I mean, a single player cannot win every single thing. You remember what happened in the first season of Cristiano Ronaldo in Real Madrid? We didn't win anything. So a single player is not enough. Real Madrid has to build up a super team with super competitive players in the different positions. And if you look at, for example, PSG, the super team they are building up right now with super signings for like for example Achraf Hakimi, Sergio Ramos, Wijnaldum, Donnarumma, and all the players that are yet to come, it's just nuts, man. This team is creating in reality a super project for the next future. And in my opinion, there will be one of the most competitive teams ever. So that is the way to cheer the fans, and so the fans can feel so happy and be excited towards the team and things like that. That is the way to go. So Real Madrid can refuse to his own story of signings and happiness and excitement and all this stuff, and say no, we are not going to sign any single player other than Kylian Mbappe. No, man, that is not the way Real Madrid has done the things in the past. That is a completely different way. It's weird for me because every single year we have seen so far different signings, different players coming in, super big names, super big stars. That is exactly what we need. And the right side, it was just an example, but it can work for different positions. Right now, for example, we have like 8 to 9 forwards, and none of them is great. I mean, you have to Karim Benzema, which is good, but it's not great. It's not like Cristiano Ronaldo. It's not like, I don't know, Erling Haaland, Robert Lewandowski. You need that kind of players in your team. Because at the end of the day, soccer is about excitement. Soccer is about happiness. Soccer is about passion. And if you don't bring in new players, how are you going to passion your fans? That is completely impossible. You know what I'm saying? And you will have a lot of super weak positions, super weak sides in your team, in your squad, so you won't become the competitive team you are supposed to become. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I wanted to share with you all this opinion. It's just an opinion, but it's important enough about the allegedly decision of Real Madrid not to sign a single player this season other than Kylian Mbappe. So now let me know your thoughts about that. Just comment in the section below, and of course subscribe my channel, Real Madrid.